world from devastation.
To unite all peoples within our nation.
To denounce the evils of truth and love.
To extend our reach to the stars above.
Jesse!
Hey guys, King of Charmanders here, and today I bring to you the top 5 August community feedback requests. Make dimensional links great again, and for good reason. As this video is going to take a look at the top 5 community feedback requests on the Monster Hunter Now community forums. So these top 5s are the top replied posts and thus are the ones with the most interest. And it's no surprise that at the top... Alright, first we're going to start out with community request number 5, the cooldowns of Huntathons and Elder Dragon's Interceptions. This was posted on April 27, 2024, and it was a Japan player request, with 70 replies and 269 views as of this video. And the last response was 26 days ago. Very nice number of views, by the way. As far as how many votes it has, it tops at number 4. So it's been replied to at number 5, but as votes as for what's wanted, it's at number 4. And here's the request. Number 1, lower the 3-hour wait time because people work during the day. Number 2, users that play at night because Huntathons and Elder Dragon Interceptions are from 07:15, and therefore players that work at night aren't able to participate. And here's the improvement proposal. Number 1, change the free 3 hours every hours into a 5 times daily ticket instead. So you get 5 max daily tickets just like your first aid meds to participate in Huntathon / Elder Dragon Interceptions. And number 2, get rid of the preliminary state of Huntathons and Elder Dragon Interceptions, which means where you're going to see the... And here are my impressions for the community crest number 5, the top 5 one. And what I mean by impressions is that this is what I think if it's... Is this realistic? Is this something that can easily be implemented? And is it consistent with the game? Or is it going to break the game if something's implemented? So as a day 1 Pokemon Go raider, as in when Pokemon Go raids first released, the Huntathon / Elder Dragon Interception times have been that way pretty much forever. No, seriously, if you've never played Pokemon Go or raided, literally these times have been the same forever. No reason to change it if it causes headaches for the developers. I'm pretty sure there's a cost associated with running your servers, running Huntathons, and things like that 24/7. Could possibly be a safety issue, etc. Remember, in Japan, you aren't the only ones that play Monster Hunter Now. There are other places around the world that play this game. So, I feel like this is more of a selfish request rather than a realistic request because you want to play 24/7. As a mental health therapist, it's healthy for you to stop playing this game and do something else. And you know what? We are lucky that we have 3-hour free Huntathon and Elder Dragon Interception windows. Pokemon Go, on the other hand, if you don't play Pokemon Go or never have, they only get 1 free raid pass a day. But I do think the daily tickets is a good idea. However, I get why it might be difficult because adding another item to the game that has a limit like first aid meds might take a second to implement. And the thing about the preliminary state, the ones right before Elder Dragons go out, if you don't know, if you haven't played Pokemon Go, it used to be an egg and then the egg would hatch a Pokemon. So the preliminary state makes sense. Pokemon Go has events where there is a timer. It should stay the way it is and save something like that for events. So there are events in Pokemon Go where there will be no preliminary state and the Pokemon or your raid boss will just be right there instantly without a wait time. As for the next one, we have community request top number 4, Loadout improvements. This was posted on April 29th, 2024, and again, it was a Japan player request, with 132 replies and 784 views as of this video. And the last response was 10 hours ago. So while this may be number 4 on the replies list, this was actually the number 2 on the votes. And here was the request. There's actually a lot of them. 1, increase loadout sets. Number 2, rearrange the order of the loadout sets. Number 3, link sets with Driftsmelts. Number 4, link with gyro to turn on and off. Number 5, auto switch your loadout according to the monster. Number 6, copy loadout sets. And here are my impressions for top number 4 community quest. The only 2 things that make a lot of sense in this post is that 1, Driftsmelting saves for loadouts. That's the one I've seen for the most for this as far as loadouts goes. For full Driftsmelt builds, save it with our loadout. I don't think it's that easy to do, which is why it's taking so long, but I've definitely seen that the most. And as someone with 3 full Driftsmelt builds, I agree. So That, and number 2, more loadouts. That's a good idea too. However, the thing is, I read in an interview before that loadout updates aren't easy. The game has to load every player's loadout. I'm for a slower rollout if it doesn't mean the game's going to break. So everyone's like, I want more loadouts, I want more loadouts. If it's going to put stress on the servers and everything like that, because you're going to have someone out there that's going to have 600 loadouts or something like that. You will have people out there that have ridiculous loadouts and possibly break the game or slow the game down for everybody else. Which is why it's kind of nuts that everyone's like super free to play and it's like, no, don't spend money on the game. You know, to play the game, servers need to run on stuff. So it costs money to run servers and to have the data and resources to run them. You want more loadouts and a ton of them, but you aren't willing to spend money on the game, or you discourage other people to play the game or spend money on that. So it's just kind of interesting how, you know, you want a whole bunch of stuff that's going to put stress on the servers, but you don't actually spend anything or discourage people from spending on the game. And the rest of these is just really a bunch of extra micromanagement. Moving on, we have the top number 3 community request, which is Driftsmelting improvements. This was posted on May 22nd, 2024, and of course it was a Japan player request, with 142 replies and 2,600 plus views as of this video. And the last response was 5 days ago. And here it stands at 174 votes, which at top request number 3 overall as far as replied, it's also the top number 3 as far as votes go. And here's the requests, and there's a lot of them. Number 1, drift smelt multiple stones at once. Number 2, use insta-smelt in the middle of smelting, which has already been implemented in the game. Along with number 3, discounted set packs of insta-smelt, again already implemented in the game. Number 4, put a list of skills out there that can't be drift smelted right now. Number 5, change color refine armor. And number 6, and allowing the change of parameter stats. And here are my impressions of top request number 3. The good thing is a lot of these suggestions were implemented recently. And I'm not sure why 3 stones at the same time is a good idea. You still have to slay monsters to get drift stones anyways. So not all of us are slaying monsters at the rate of 1,000 miles per hour because you're in an overpowered community like Japan, Hong Kong, etc. Not the ones in the rural areas, the one in the big cities. So if you're in the big city, it sounds like the person that made this request is in a huge city, slays monsters endlessly, and just gets a bunch of drift stones. Must be nice. And here's the thing, future information on drift smelt skills is a terrible idea. That would create expectations, because I know y'all, as a creator and as someone that's seen a whole lot of feedback, when you have expectations, you want things now. It's not like, oh, it's like a process. No, forget the process. Y'all want this now. It should stay unknown until Niantic plans on doing an event for the skills that don't exist. This keeps interest in the game. This makes it so that people aren't expecting skills and start rioting because those skills aren't being implemented yet. And it doesn't make it so there's FOMO out there because free-to-play players and that don't spend on insta-smelt and don't insta-smelt at 1,000 miles per hour like this dude does from what it sounds like, aren't fearing that they're missing out on anything. That's the same thing with changing parameters. If you could change parameters, that's too much FOMO. It's perfectly fine the way it is because the skill in itself is more important versus the parameter. If you've drift smelted hundreds of times, you want the skill, not the parameter. You should never re-drift smelt something and pray that you get a better parameter. If you have the skill, keep the skill. You don't need a reroll for the parameter, and we don't need another system that makes us want to FOMO over something else because I'm perfectly fine with having the skill. The skill, again, is more important than the parameter. Moving on to the second of last, the top number 2 for the community request, we have Leechers and Elder Dragon Interceptions. Posted on June 13th, 2024, of course it was a Japan player request, with 238 replies and 2,600 plus reviews as of this video. And the last response was 14 days ago. Ironically, even though this is the top request number 2 as far as replied goes, it only has 61 votes. Which means it rates at the bottom as far as votes go. That doesn't mean it's not important. And the request is, at number 1, a penalty for players who don't revive in Elder Dragon Interceptions. So if you don't use your potion, guess what? This is for you. And number 2, if you don't revive or fight in phase 2, you don't get any rewards. In other words, pretty much a Leecher who doesn't have done any damage or little damage and still gets the rewards because someone else has been carrying them. And here are my impressions of the top number 2 community quest. The thing is, this issue is mitigated with the recent hunter rank requirement increase update. They upped it by 50 HR levels per star. So in order for you to do 8-star Kushala or 8-star Teostra, you need to be at HR 100. Here's the thing though, I fully agree, I get it, as someone that's carried Elder Dragon Interceptions or one of y'all with full Driftsmelt build, 10-5, I got you. The high-end player, I don't think hunters should be penalized that bad because some players could be fighting that Elder Dragon for the first time. If you have no idea what you're doing and you wipe a lot, well, technically it's your fault, but at the same time, there are new people reaching level 100 as far as hunter rank goes and not doing the greatest, because if you're gonna do well in an Elder Dragon, you're gonna have to take some practice. Now I get it, there are some instances where players clearly don't have the gear. I'm looking at you Bone Gun Lance users, and most hunters from my experience revive, so most of them will actually revive. But if they don't, you can leave and retry with another group or attempt to carry the current Elder Dragon Interception. Of course, this assumes that there's still timer left on the Elder Dragon Interception. If there is no timer left when you leave, that Elder Dragon Interception will be gone, and thus you'll be forced to take the rappel. So there's a pro and con of this, but again, I don't think hunters should be penalized that hard just because you don't have any potions left or you're brand new, and again, you don't have any potions left to said Elder Dragon. And last but not least, at the community request number 1, the granddaddy of requests, unnerf dimensional links and bring it back to its former glory. Posted on August 7th, 2024, this was a request by a Japanese player. They literally just merged all of our topics into this one. It has 409 replies and 4,000 plus reviews as of this video. And the last response was 4 hours ago. And it has 321 votes, not only being the number 1 most viewed and most replied to, but also the number 1 most voted. This is the top request shared with the team and has more replies than the 2 below it combined. And of course, the request is simple. Change back dimensional links to its original range and make dimensional links great again. And here's my impressions for the top request. I've already said multiple of them, but I've made a previous post that was actually combined with this one. So when you make multiple topics on the improvements list, they tend to combine everything. And a ton of topics were combined for this one. And this is the most important request that can be easily changed back. The thing is, it was already implemented in the game, so you just have to roll it back. It's not something new, not something that has to be worked on, it's already here. You just need to put it back to where it's gonna be really cool again. The longer this nerf stays, the more damage it does to the community and potential new players. I had 40 referrals in like 5 to 7 days. Now I don't care about the referrals to my account, however it does show that the game was growing, right before dimensional links was nerfed. So if you want more people to walk outside, it makes more sense to have more players that play the game, right? Since that nerf, I've only gotten like 2 referrals, which is really bad. So yeah, it's important that this topic is shared in as many channels as possible, as Niantic actually looks at multiple channels for feedback and not just the community forums. So for everybody that thinks they're super smart and has such a cool and understanding of what Niantic looks at when you go to feedback, well, here's my proof.
We have big plans for Monster Hunter now.
Awesome, thank you. Speaking of feedback, that's come my next question. So, players give a ton of feedback. What are the best ways to get feedback from Monster Hunter now? I know you guys have the forum. I know you watch my channel, so that's great as well. Are there other venues, or what's the best way to do it for Monster Hunter?
Yeah, we love hearing from players, and we are on Reddit, we are on Discord, we are listening, we may be lurking, but we are absolutely trying to get as much feedback from players as possible, whether they're in, Hong Kong, Taipei, Tokyo, Seattle, Los Angeles. We want to make sure that we are taking all that into account, and that's why we've done so many improvements, even outside of our major seasonal launches. So, adding in rewards for group hunting. We want to encourage people to hunt together. That's something that we added. Adding the global matchmaking for Huntathon points. We heard from a lot of players who maybe not are in a big populous area. They want to be able to take down Huntathons at the highest levels, so that guaranteed matchmaking, that's there for them. Giving Zenny for discarding parts. We want to make sure that's something that feels rewarding and not just a so-so experience. So things like that. And for season 2, the ability to send friend requests after multiplayer hunts, the friend quest itself, where you can now have a joint goal that you're working toward over many days to get some big rewards in game with your friends. That's a social feature that we wanted to put out there, and we're always listening and wanting to come up with new quality of life improvements and new features that improve the gameplay experience overall.
And there you have it. Feedback is looked at by Monster Hunter Now Niantic in multiple different platforms, not just the community forums, everywhere. I feel honored that they watch my videos for feedback, and that's really awesome. And all the Niantic staff I've worked with that work with Monster Hunter Now are super passionate about the game, haven't had a bad experience so far, super awesome, super polite, super professional, and so far a lot of the features we have asked for have come to life. It just so happens to be one of the best ones, and the one that's going to grow the game the most over time. Let's hope that dimensional link access is returned back soon to its original range. Please do me a huge favor, like, subscribe, and comment for the YouTube algorithm. Hopefully y'all are having fun despite this dimensional links not being available, and we have Teostra coming out soon. But if you want it back, make sure you give all the feedback you can for dimensional links. Good luck on your grinds, and I will see y'all on the next video.